Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we are going to create a game that trains your reflexes. So you're going to find out just how quick you are responding to a particular situation. So to use the most obvious symbol for stopping and going, we're going to turn our sprite into a red and green light. And we're going to go into costumes, delete one of these guys, click draw, there we go, there's a ball, we have green by default, I think that's about the right size, we're going to paint it green, center it, it's nearly perfect, then we're going to duplicate it, now actually we're going to get rid of the initial cat costume. We're going to duplicate it and paint it red. There's a few imperfect dots, but nah, that's good enough. I'm happy enough with that. So they're called Costume 3 and Costume 2. And yes, this is where we can change the name. Red. Green. Okay, so our very first objective is to start with red and then turn the light green after a random number of seconds. So when the green flag is clicked, when we start the program, we're going to set the costume looks. I'm going to switch costume to red. And then we're going to wait a random number of seconds. 1 to 10, 2 to 10 I guess. 2 to 10 would be good. And then switch the costume to green. Okay, green flag. We start off with red and surprise, at some point it'll turn green. Yep. Okay. So now at this point, we are going to have to figure out how to start a timer and have this timer go until we press spacebar. And I think the best thing to use is repeat until. So repeat until spacebar is pressed. And what do we repeat? Well, we're going to have to iterate some variable. And we're going to call this timer. And we will change timer by 1. And we'll change timer by 1. It'll go up every 0.01 seconds. So now, this is one thing that's imperfect in Scratch. This should be 100 times a second. But you watch the timer and you will realize that it's probably about 30 times a second. Something like that. So Scratch hasn't exactly designed this to perfection. We're going to have to set timer to 0 when we start. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it probably takes 2.5, 3 seconds to get to 100. And so all I need to say is that this is a very good way to keep score. I mean, your score on that timer definitely means something. The lower the better. And it has a high resolution. Resolution being, you know, it takes a lot of ticks. So very similar times are still going to be different by, you know, a value of 10 plus. So there we have pretty much everything we need to play this game. I'm just going to press the space key when it turns green. That's pretty good. We're going to play this again. So technically it's 9,000ths of a second, but we can say it's a value of 9. And I think that, at least for me, is what quick is. So if 9 is fast, then I can basically write a couple of if statements. Maybe I can just use an if then else. So if the timer value is less than, so if it's 10 or less, so if it's less than 11, then I could say that was quick. And otherwise, oh no, edit and delete. And otherwise I can say too slow. So let's try playing this, and I think we can put the whole program inside a forever loop so that we can have a couple of trials at it. Come on, that was good. That was good. Just quick enough both times. Too slow. 9, 10, 11. Alright. So there you go. It is essentially a game that measures your reflexes and checks out how good you are. Now, suggestions for improvement. There is definitely a lot you can do to make this game better. Animations and sounds when you're on time. You could definitely go out and maybe record your own sound to congratulate yourself or whichever one of your friends is playing this. An ongoing score of hits and misses. So that would mean making 2 more variables, one that counts the number of times you were fast enough, one that counts the number of times that you were too slow. You could do the same thing that, for example, in ski racing is being used, and even in 100-meter sprinting, the skiers and the sprinters respond to a sound, not a visual signal. So you could basically, instead of switch costume to green, or maybe even at the same time as switch costume to green, you could play a sound, like a beep sound, and see if you get any faster reacting to that. But all in all, I'll stop there. Definitely try all those improvements and some of your own and have fun with the game.